Hello, my name is Gary, and today I would like to show you how to carve a turkey. We all know the holiday season is coming up, and it's something we really need to know. Now, growing up in Chicago, actually a suburb of Chicago called Harvey, Illinois, we didn't have cable television. They didn't have cable television, period, at that time. They didn't have Google, they didn't have YouTube. But what they did have was WTTW Channel 11 in Chicago. And that was the station to watch if you wanted to see cooking shows. They had some of the best, the Frugal Gourmet, and of course, Julia Child. They also had a class that was done periodically from the Culinary Arts Institute of Chicago. Now that was one of the best that I ever saw, and they were extremely informative. One Saturday I was watching the TV station and they decided to show us how to carve a turkey. Today, I will show you what they showed me. Also, this is 30 some odd years of experience, cooking in restaurants all of my life. Now, as you can see, I've got my entire table set up. The two pans, which are made of Pyrex, doesn't really matter, but I prefer Pyrex. The large one is to put the cut up turkey in. The smaller one will be to put some other odds and ends that we will use later on. As you notice, I've got a nice wood cutting board here. I've also got this nice fork. This two-pronged fork belonged to my grandmother and was used for as many years as I can remember. Also, I have a nice razor-sharp fillet knife. This will come in handy. You'll also notice that I have some just regular kitchen plastic gloves. These plastic gloves have never been used except for carving meat. I like them because not only are they insulated, they allow my hands to grip the utensils and there's a less chance of cutting myself. Now, let's pretend that you've taken that bird out of the oven. The temperature is 165 degrees in the thigh, so it's perfect. Now, at this point, if you want, you could take it in and show the family and they can ooh and ah all over the place. If not, just leave it in the kitchen and do your thing. What I like to do as soon as I pull it out of the oven is put a nice foil tent over it, let it set for about 30 minutes. What this does in resting, and that's the word, resting, and you can do this with any meat, is allows the juices to all go back inside and settle, which means that your meat will be a lot juicier than if you cut in and all those terrible juices just run all over the board. Now, let's see. Oh yes, let's put on the gloves, because that's what we're going to need. There we go. Now earlier I washed these and everything is set. And all you got to do is use your hands just like you're washing your hands in the sink, hot soapy water, and just rinse them really well. Now, we're going to do the first thing, which is to remove the thigh. Nope, I'm sorry, that's the leg. Now, oh, look at that. Comes off very nicely. Now, some people would go ahead and carve this up. Others might want to leave it whole. I like to leave it whole because, well, I like the leg, so I'll probably eat that myself. Now, you can start by removing the rest of the wing. Look at this. Oh. Now, that's the flat. That's the tip. We don't need that tip. At least most people aren't going to eat it. So we're going to take it off. That's going to go in this bowl right here. The flat is going to sit over there. A lot of people like those. I do too. It's pretty good. Now, this part is called the drum of the wing. Now, you're going to carve down here. As you see, I'm trying to go all the way around because I like to leave a little meat on it. Now, don't be afraid to pull. Oh, look at that. Now, oh wait, look, you got another little drumstick. Now, if you've got a little guy that's sat there and all he does is want to imitate Dad, give him this. He'll think he's just like Dad. Now, let's get the thigh. Now, this is one of my favorite parts because they're always nice and juicy, and there's always a lot of meat on them. Now, if you notice, I'm just going down a little bit at a time. I want to get as much of that off as I can. And yes, don't be afraid to manhandle your bird. You're going to need to do that. Now, where's that joint? Oh, there we go. Now, some people might leave it like that. I'm not, because I want that meat off the bone. There we go. Now, most of that meat is going to come off, and I'll leave a little bit on there because we're going to use that later on. Oh, man, look at that. Oops. That terrible piece of skin. Well, I might just have to eat that later on because I do like the skin. Now, we've gotten this part. Oh, wait, here's another piece of skin. Well, we might as well take that one off, too. Let's do that. There we go. Now, as you can see, about half of the bird is done. Now we're going to go for the breast. What I do is pull that knife across the bottom. You want to make sure that it goes all the way to the bone. Now, I'm sure we all remember when Grandpa and Dad and Uncle Joe used to carve the bird, and they would just go like this and carve real thin pieces. Well, that's okay, except that you're carving it with the grain. And by doing that, and that's the way the meat runs, and by doing it with the grain, you're going to get some stringy meat, and it's just not going to be nearly as tender. So, if you take the bird, as you see, we cut across the bottom. Now, I'm going to go to the tip, right to the tip of that breast. And I'm going across that breastbone. And you will feel the bone, by the way. All right, now, what I'm going to do, now you notice that I've got those gloves, right? This is the main reason I have the gloves. Because you know what? This bird is hot. And it's very easy to burn your fingers. Now, what I'm going to do is go down and I'm going to start to gently pull away. Pull the camera up this way. Thank you. Now, oh yeah, oh man. And yes, I do feel the heat coming off of there. See? As I pull, there you go. Oh man, do you see that? Yes. Now, I've got that beautiful piece of breast sitting right there. Now, if you want to see right here, you see how that grain is going across. That's the grain going this way. Now, if we slice it like this, you're going to see some beautiful cuts that, as you can see, are very moist. You get some skin on there for those that like it. Now, what I like to do is take the whole thing there. Now, you see that we've carved about half of the bird. Now, that might be enough for your family, so you don't have to carve anymore. But if you want to, you can carve the whole bird. At this point, you're going to go and eat and enjoy. Now you're done with dinner and you're all full and everything. Well, you got to look at the time, because now you have to think about food safety. And the food safety factor in this is your bird is sat out of the oven for 30 minutes to rest. You've carved it, which, let's say 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little longer if you're not very practiced at it. Another hour or so to eat, well, it's almost 2 hours. Well, the guidelines say that you shouldn't leave any meat setting out, anything, period, food-wise, for more than 2 hours. Now, some people will say, well, I'll just put some foil on it and I'll put it on top of the oven and it'll be okay and everybody can piece off of it. No, that's not a good idea, because that's when a foodborne illness can develop. And you certainly don't want to send grandma to the hospital on Thanksgiving Day. That's just not a good idea. What I like to do is immediately carve the rest of the bird and get it into the refrigerator. Now, at this point, you're going to say, okay, well, you got that big carcass laying there. And whoa, wait a minute, what about this bowl over here with all those other little pieces? Well, that's when you take that bowl and that carcass and you put it in a nice soup pot. And you put just enough cold water over it to cover it. Then you turn it on, bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to a simmer and let it cook for a few hours. Now, in the meantime, you can clean the kitchen, you can sit and have some pie, you can do whatever you want to do. Now all of that's done and over with, you can drain the broth into a nice big bowl, straining all of that stuff that's in there. And you're going to want to pick the bones at that point. You're going to want to take all the meat off that you possibly can, check it for bones, and then put that in the freezer. You're going to let the broth cool, and then put that in the freezer. You might just want to stick it in the refrigerator overnight and do it the next day. Because guess what? In a few weeks, you'll be able to pull that out and make some wonderful turkey and dumplings, or some turkey hash, or, well, just maybe even just turkey salad. Who knows? But at this point, you're done and you've carved a turkey. And it's going to be nice and juicy and hopefully enjoyable for your family for the holiday. So I thank you for watching me. God bless and have a wonderful holiday.